So maybe somebody could take this and start to contextualize what's happened over the last few years in the regulatory environment, and of course this big SBF court case that hopefully is fully behind us now. Can you tell us where we're at with respect to the current innings of this of the sentiment here in the U.S. for crypto?
I guess I'll start. I would call it like the perfect storm. And to really understand what's going on today, we have to go back, in like 2016 or 17. I think the sentiment in those years, there was a lot of speculation about the markets and tokens, and people were investing just based on the crazy returns that we were seeing in the market. But without understanding, like I think Jackie mentioned in the previous panel, where this alpha was coming from, and the really underlying value of those investments and the tokens. Now I think the space has evolved because of everything that has been happening, with a lot of like really centralized exchanges falling apart. They're not really based on blockchain at all, and the regulators paying more attention to it. I think now, last year, this year actually, 2023, we've seen a lot of news through every single month, of like big institutions participating in the space and putting together partnerships and collaborations with more like crypto companies like Coinbase. And I think that's very important. So I think the sentiment right now is like we're waiting on the sidelines to participate in the space. Once there is a robust and clear legal framework in the US, but is wanted. I think a clear indicator of that is BlackRock filing for the ETF. And I think it's just a matter of time for the ETF to be approved, and then the volume obviously will increase in the space.
Thank you. Anyone else? Chris?
I'll go next. I mean, the one thing that we see in the market and why it doesn't feel like it's improved much is because volumes have been so anemic. In fact, if you look at volumes all year, Q1 was somewhat supported by a bit of a surge in Bitcoin, thanks to the banking crisis. But volumes, particularly on and off exchange, every quarter have been lower each quarter. Now, clearly, October has kind of changed fortunes a little bit. We've started to see volumes pick up, and more recently, even in some of the non-Bitcoin, non-ETH coins and the altcoins. But in general, there's still just a lot of skeptics. There's a lot of people on the sideline who would prefer to wait until there is more certainty before dabbling their feet in. It's feedback we hear quite frequently. And you also have a lot of retail participants who, they got faked out once, they got faked out twice, and they're like, I'm not getting faked out again. I'm just going to wait until there's certainty. And that's why I think this ETF, spot ETF approval would go a long way to kind of easing some of both the regulatory concerns and these fake out concerns that the retail public have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just to build on, I certainly think the regulatory headwinds I think that we've been facing here in the U.S. is feeling like it's starting to thaw, and eventually I think we'll get past it. But just to put it into perspective, it's not like that everywhere in the world. So like we're seeing quite a bit of demand, particularly in the LATAM space and out of APAC as well.